All right, Phoenix LiveView guidelines. Never use deprecated live redirect live path. Yeah, that makes sense. This is another one where Phoenix has changed, and so I'm sure the robot generates the old code, right? So use the link component with navigate and patch, and use the push navigate push patch from the live views. I love this. Avoid live components unless you have a strong specific need for them. Yes, that is a great advice for all of us. Just use function components. Live components existed before function components, and most of the times you just want a function component. Live view should be named like live with a live suffix. The And this is another one where it's already telling it, right? When you go to the router, the default browser scope is already aliased with the app web module. So you don't have to declare app web.weather live, right? So common things that probably hard for the robot to know, right? It's sort of like convention. The more convention, the maybe the harder to know. I don't know. Remember, anytime you use Phoenix hook and that JS hook manages its own DOM, you must also set the Phoenix update ignore attribute. Nice. I wonder how the robot traverses between JavaScript and Elixir and all that jazz. I haven't done a lot of complex stuff with that. Never write embedded script tags and Heeks templates. Instead, always write your own scripts and hooks in the assets directory and integrate them with the file. Cool. Live view streams. Always use live view streams for collections for assigning regular lists to avoid memory ballooning and runtime termination with the following operations. I think this is cool advice for all of us. I think sometimes when we do regular collections, we might not even reach for streams immediately because we think it's fine for it to be in memory. But I don't know that we lose anything by using streams out of the box, right? So and then you're automatically protected from accidentally having like a ton of data in a socket or in a process and having memory issues. Basic append of n items is just stream like that. Resetting stream with new items. You can just pass reset true. Prepending to stream at -1, deleting items, stream delete. When using the stream interface in LiveView, the LiveView template must 1, always set Phoenix update stream on the parent element with a DOM ID, and 2, consume the stream name collection and use the ID as the DOM ID for each child. For a call like stream socket message in LiveView, the template would be like this, right? So that makes sense. It's just kind of teaching it about you need to have this Phoenix update stream right there. It needs to have the DOM, it needs to have an ID there, and we need to use this kind of ID right here. This ID, by the way, if you don't know, gets used right here, right? So you need to do that so streams work correctly. LiveView streams are not enumerable, so you cannot use enum filter, enum reject, and then that makes sense. That it would think it's an enumerable, right? It's a collection that we keep working with. So, to teach us a little bit about resetting, filtering, that kind of thing. Makes sense. LiveView streams do not support counting or empty states. Another probably enumerable kind of confusion that it didn't strike me. I didn't think about, that we would confuse it, but that makes sense. If you need to display a count, you must track it using separate assigns. For empty states, you can use Tailwind classes, right? Got it. Yeah. All right. The above only works if the empty state is the only HTML block alongside the stream for comprehension. Yeah. Never use the deprecated Phoenix update append or prepend for collections. So if you don't know this, before streams came, there was you would tag the assign as I'm actually forgetting now, and you would actually tag it append or prepend in the template. So makes sense. All right. LiveView tests. Actually, I'm not even going to read this. LiveView test, we should just have a use Phoenix test. Now, worth looking into it. Module lazy HTML includer for making your assertions. That makes sense. Lazy HTML, for those who don't know, LiveView, I think 1.1 introduced lazy HTML instead of Floki. Form tests are driven by LiveView test render, submit, and render change functions. Yep. Come up with a step-by-step plan that splits major test case into small, isolated files. Yeah, okay. Split your tests. Always reference in your test. That makes sense. Use the element helper, right? You can use this with a render submit and stuff like that. That makes sense. Never test against raw XML. Yeah, I love to see this. I mean, again, use just Phoenix test. But if you're not using Phoenix test, I think this makes a lot more sense in your assertions. I love the never, explicitness there. Instead of relying on testing text content, which can change, favor testing for the presence of key elements. Yeah. Focus on testing outcomes rather than implementation details. Yes, again, that makes sense. And I know robots can sometimes write some weird tests. Be aware that Phoenix component functions like form might produce different HTML than expected. Testing is the output HTML structure, not your mental model of what you expect it to be. That's funny. I don't know what the mental model that the robot has, but gotta call it out. When facing test failures with element selectors, add debug statements to print the actual HTML, but use lazy HTML selectors to limit the output. So that's interesting. So you're rendering the HTML, we render from fragment, filter, inspect. That is interesting. It makes sense if the robot doesn't have access to the UI, right? Like typically if I run into something, I use the open browser helper on the view to actually see what it's rendering. But unless you're using Tidewave or something, I imagine it doesn't have access to the UI, right?